Alright, today I'm gonna ride around and talk about violence and shit. Yeah, that's the topic. Violence. You ever hear someone say, this is the most peaceful time in history? I actually hear people say completely opposite as well. About 15 years ago, I read this book called The Better Angels of Our Nature. And let me tell you, this thing had more graphs than a college economics class. Homicide rates, war stats, domestic abuse trends, torture charts. It was like the Excel Olympics of human violence. This book was written by Steven Pinker. And Pinker's whole point is that we humans have actually gotten less violent over time. That we're living in the safest, most peaceful era in the history of our species. And back then when I read it, I agreed with him. I thought, damn, maybe we are getting better. He does make good points in the book. But right now, I'm not so sure. I do think that the numbers are right. I'm not arguing with the data. My question is, have humans actually changed? Or have we just gotten better at hiding our violence? Because yeah, we don't draw and quarter people in town square anymore. We don't boil folks alive, the village watches. But we do still kill people, every day. We're just more polite about it now. Distant. Now it's some 21-year-old in Nevada flying a drone into a country he never ever been to. Push a button and boom, 50 people gone. And then he clocks out at 5, grabs Chipotle, and goes home to binge Netflix. That's not less violent, that's just less personal. Pinker's right about something though. Violence used to be a show, entertainment, ritual. He talks about the old punishments, people being broken on the wheel. Yeah, that was a real thing, not just some medieval death metal album. They tie you down to a wheel, smash your bones with a hammer. They push your arms and legs through the spokes of the wheel so that you look like you got tentacles instead of arms and legs. And they leave you to die in front of everyone. Kids, grannies, the whole town. Everyone's watching. Sometimes it takes a week to die. Then you got burned alive, dismembered, tortured in public, all to make a point, or just please the gods. Or maybe it's because people were just bored and sadistic. But today we cleaned up. We don't watch executions for fun. We just binge murder podcasts, because that's more civilized, right? And even kids' stories used to be bloodbaths. The original Cinderella, her sisters chopped off their toes to fit into glass slippers. And Snow White, the queen gets forced into dance in red-hot iron shoes until she dies. That's a bedtime story. Now Disney turned all that into bubblegum and sparkles. True love's kiss, happy endings, singing teacups. What we did is sanitize the culture. But that doesn't mean impulses went away. We just disguised them, put them in a different packaging. So yeah, maybe there's less violence on the surface, but scratch it just a little bit and it's still there. Back in the old days, killing was messy and up close. You had to see the person's face, smell the blood, and watch them fall. That's not easy. That's why so many soldiers come back from war with trauma. It's not really in our nature to kill face to face. And this is what Lieutenant Dave Grossman talks about in his book called On Killing. He says that historically, most soldiers, even in brutal wars, wouldn't actually fire their weapons. Not because they're cowards, but because psychologically, it's incredibly hard to kill someone when you're actually looking them in the eyes. But now we industrialized it, outsourced the empathy, replaced swords with missiles, and combat with air conditioning. Grossman called it distance killing. The farther you are from the act, the easier it is to do. A drone pilot dropping a missile from 8,000 miles away, that's not the same as storming a trench. It's like war turned into HR problem. Just business, just drones and data. So I'm gonna ask again, is that progress? Or is it just convenience? To be fair to Pinker, he doesn't just throw stats at you. He breaks it down. He says things like societies that gave women more rights tend to be less violent. And here's why. Not because women are magical peace fairies, but because they didn't grow up in this macho pride-based culture where every little insult had to be answered with a punch in the face. If someone disrespected you and you didn't fight back, people thought you were weak. That could ruin your name, your status, your whole life. So violence became this tool to protect honor. Dueling, revenge killing, family feuds, anything to not look soft. But when those honor-based expectations started to fade and women got involved in the public life, leadership, politics, things calmed down a bit. That's what Pinker means when he says that feminization helped bring down the violence. Not because women are perfect, but because the old school chest-thumping culture started to chill out. Because deep down, we're still animals. Fancy animals in Gore-Tex jackets, but animals. Give us enough pressure, starvation, fear, rage, and we snap. The thin crust of civilization breaks, and under it, same old blood and teeth. That's why you still see school shootings, hate crimes, genocide. We didn't erase violence. We just moved it around a little bit, pushed it into the corner, gave it better lighting. And this is where Schopenhauer comes in. My personal favorite cranky uncle of philosophy. He said, "The world is hell. The men are on one hand the tormented souls, and on the other, the devil's in it." Schopenhauer didn't believe in human progress. He thought suffering was baked into existence, that desire itself is pain, and the thing that we call civilization, just a distraction from the raw cruelty of life. And maybe he's right. Maybe Pinker's numbers are accurate. But Schopenhauer's gut is more honest. We've changed the wallpaper, but the house is still on fire. And I'm not saying we should give up and go live in a cave. I gotta admit though, that does sound pretty peaceful. But maybe we should be real about what progress actually means. It's not that we became angels, it's that we learned how to act in public. We still get angry, we still lash out, we still bomb countries. We just learn how to smile while doing it. Maybe the goal isn't to pretend we're saints, but to admit that we're not. And then choose better anyway. So yeah, violence declined. Pinker might be right, but Schopenhauer whispers don't get too comfortable. We're still animals in jackets, still wolves with Wi-Fi, but we got a choice. Even if we're wired for violence, we can still choose not to hit send, not to push the button, to just breathe. Maybe that's the real better angel. Not that we're better, just that we try. And that's something, I think. And that's the end of this one. And thanks for making it all the way through.